I wanted to do a video today on how our chickens help us out in the garden. As I mentioned before, even though our chickens have a large space to roam, we throw all of our garden scraps and chicken compost in one area, so they'll spend most of their time pooping and scratching here. That way, we'll have rich compost to spread in the garden. After all, healthy soil equals healthy plants. So here I am moving aside all the garden scraps and tomato vines and things like that so I can have access to the compost underneath. If you've seen the Back to Eden film, you know Paul goes into his chicken run with his wheelbarrow, a screen, and a shovel. I go in with a cart, a pitchfork, and a shovel. I haven't gotten around to making a screen yet, but it's fine. We just don't have as fine of a compost as he does. Our compost is a little bit more of a rough compost. It still does wonders for the garden. So here I am shoveling compost into the cart. Paul is able to shovel deep because his compost is deep. He's had chickens for about 30 years. We've only had chickens for a couple of years, so our compost is not as deep yet. Still, it's not back-breaking work. I'm basically scraping the fluffy compost off the top. When I reach the red clay that this part of the state is known for, then I stop and I go to a different section. I'm just moving aside some of the larger pieces of compost in order to shovel some more. You can see the divot where I've dug, just scraping off the fluffy top. I hope you're able to see how fluffy this compost is. It looks like dirt, but it's not. Dirt would only be this fluffy if it were freshly tilled. This is just kitchen scraps and garden extras on top of red clay that the chickens have turned into fluffy, wonderful compost. They pick at all the compost we give them, and it breaks down. They scratch, take dust baths, that sort of thing. I keep scraping the compost off of the top until I reach red clay. When I get to red clay, I stop and go to a different area. So here I'm pointing with the shovel where the red clay is. If you can see those tiny little red specks, I've reached red clay. So I won't dig there anymore. I won't be able to. It'll be too hard. I'll just go to a different section and scrape off more compost off the top. And here is what we put in the garden. Rich, fluffy compost. And it's free. Again, if I had a screen, it would be just like Paul's. But the rough compost it does really well in the garden. The chickens have gotten rid of all the seeds, so nothing sprouts. Sometimes tomatoes do, but for the most part, nothing else sprouts. No weeds sprout in the garden from this compost. So after I've collected all the compost needed and spread it all around the garden, I set about starting the process over. We were forecasted to get our first frost this night, so we went ahead and cleaned out all of our zinnias, tomatoes, and green beans. The chickens love the green beans the most, I think. Those are green beans right now that they're pecking through. Here are the zinnias, some more green beans, tomato vines. Now to see what the compost looks like in the garden. As I scan the garden, you'll see the darker areas are where I spread compost. The lighter places are where it's just wood chips, no compost. This is what used to be the tomato patch. So we just rip the tomatoes up by hand, really easy. We rake it smooth and put compost down. Here's the area where I cleaned up the bean plants. There's another section where I put down some compost. We also had bean plants over here. The ground is ready to be planted if I wanted to. I just wanted to show how easy it is to clean up crops and collect and spread compost in the Back to Eden garden. Even a pregnant lady and a bunch of kids can do it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want to see more like it.